A global event watched by billions, celebrating the unity and spirit of sport. But what about the hidden costs behind it? The lives lost, the rights trampled, and the voices silenced. Today, we will delve into the dark side of the Qatar World Cup and the labor injustices that made it possible.
Faced with dire economic circumstances in their home countries, impoverished young Nepali, Bangladeshi, and Indian men have long sought opportunities in the Gulf. Ineligible for citizenship in countries like Qatar, migrants will work in a host country and send what little they make to their families back home.
One of the most immoral aspects of their exploitation was the confiscation of passports, which effectively trapped workers in the country. Vulnerable to abuse and mistreatment, they face inadequate medical coverage and lack of proper safety measures on construction sites. This exploitation was not isolated to the World Cup, but instead reflects broader systemic injustices embedded in labor practices of the region.
The exploitation of migrant workers in Qatar reveals a stark power imbalance between the multinational conglomerates involved in World Cup construction projects and the vulnerable workers that the system relies upon. The Qatari government and the construction companies they contract to are the principal aggressors in the situation. In pursuit of global recognition for a highly successful World Cup event, Qatar's focus on profit maximization came at the expense of worker rights and well-being.
The kafala system, a sponsorship-based labor exploitation mechanism, is prevalent in many Gulf countries and has played a significant role in the perpetuation of abuse. Under the kafala system, employers have complete control over their workers and even permits companies to ban migrant workers from leaving their host country. Traditionally, employees needed a no-obligation letter to resign from a contract, enslaving workers to their sponsor and immobilizing them in the job market. The restrictive nature of the kafala system has created an environment where exploitation thrives and workers are left with few legal protections against mistreatment and abuse. According to a BBC report, many migrant workers that left to work in Qatar died in workplace accidents.
In the years since the World Cup was awarded to Qatar, hundreds of thousands of young men have left this district to find work there. Anil's uncle was one of those who went, but he recently died in a workplace accident in Qatar.
Many Nepalese go to Qatar as laborers, even after studying things like computer science. There they are suffering. My uncle also went there as a laborer. If he had known this could have happened, he would never have gone.
In an Amnesty International article, we hear the story of Marcus, a 33-year-old man from Ghana who left for Qatar to work on the World Cup. He paid $400 in recruitment costs and reports that he has yet to make that money back in wages. All of the workers interviewed said that the company's recruitment agents made false promises about advancement opportunities and wage increases. Once they were in Qatar, they were trapped under kafala, with no hope of escape in sight.
Despite the grim circumstances, there have been significant steps towards justice and reform. In response to mounting international criticism, Qatar has introduced several key reforms aimed at improving the conditions for migrant workers under the kafala system.
One of the most notable changes is the reform to no objection certificates. Previously, workers needed employers' permission to leave the country. As of 2020, though, Qatar has eliminated this requirement, granting rights back to workers.
While these reforms mark an important step forward, it is essential to recognize the need for continued vigilance around human rights abuses. Human rights organizations must remain active in ensuring Qatar remains true to its promises of reform and ensure that workers' rights continue to be upheld.
These reforms are a testament to the power of global advocacy and the importance of calling out systems of injustice. The journey towards justice for migrant workers is far from over, though. As global citizens, it is our responsibility to remain informed and advocate for the advancement of worker rights in labor practices around the world.
Addressing worker exploitation in countries like Qatar is not about empty promises. It's about ensuring dignity and fairness in every workplace and construction site. By staying informed and advocating for justice, we can contribute to a world where every worker is treated with the respect and dignity they deserve.
As we tune into the Paris Olympics, it's important to remember that behind every major international sporting competition, there exists a human story. A story of how the underlying infrastructure was erected, a story of who built that infrastructure, and a story about the lasting impacts on the communities that these workers come from. By continuing to push for justice, we can help build a world free of exploitation. Thank you.